Deputy Labour Leader Angela Rayner will today call the government's Levelling Up programme a sham and a scam in a speech at the Trade Union Congress in Liverpool.
She will also set out Labour's plan for a new deal for working people, which it says will create jobs and raise living standards. Angela Rayner joins us now. Very good to see you on the programme.
Morning.
What are you planning to do for working people if you win the next election? Would it be about perhaps improving the minimum wage? Would it be about raising taxes on those earning the most? What are your proposals to get a levelling up agenda moving?
Well, first of all, we won't be raising taxes. We've got the highest tax burden we've had for a generation under the Tories, so that won't be where we'd be doing it. But what we will do in the New Deal for working people is making sure that the work is more secure, that people have skilled employment and that people can really get on in life, and making sure that the unions work collectively with employers to create a circumstances and environment in work where people feel they've got good jobs that are paid well, and that actually when people are paid better, when they've got that security in work, they can get on in life, they can plan to get a mortgage, they can, spend money in their local shop, so it helps the whole economy by doing that.
Can I just, so let's just pick up on the first thing you said. So you've ruled out any plan to raise any taxes or just income taxes if you came to power?
Well, Rachel will set out, come the general election, our position, but we know that we have the highest tax burden that we've had for a generation. We can't just keep putting that burden onto people. What we have to do is raise living standards. We have to create secure employment, and we've got to build more affordable homes so that people can get on in life. And, having a home, having a secure home and having a good, secure job, for me, are the two pillars of what makes you able to get on in life and makes you to be able to look after your family.
Since time immemorial, I feel like I've heard Labour politicians saying that the burden should be held or shouldered by those with the broadest shoulders. Those who can afford to pay more should pay more. And in fact, in his 2020 leadership bid, Keir Starmer said he would increase income tax for the top 5% of earners and increase that top rate of income tax. That was a pledge that he made when he became leader. Is that completely junked?
Well, since that, we've had a Conservative Party that have crashed the economy, and we've seen the highest tax burden on people for a whole generation. So we know that we have to have an industrial strategy, which the government have failed to have at the moment, which is about long-term investment, bringing that investment into the UK. We need to have a good work strategy. We have promised an employment bill to protect people. We saw what happened with P&O workers who were fired and rehired, and the government have failed to do that and protect workers in their workplace. And we've got to have a plan to grow the economy. So our house building programme, the Great British Energy, the 28 billion of Green Prosperity Plan is about that investment in long-term future of the UK, and we've not had that from this government. Rishi Sunak was at the G20 this week, and what did the British people get from that? We were left behind when the US and, India, France, Germany, Italy had managed to get round the table and get a deal. We were left out in the cold because our government is not able to produce things for the British people. They're out of touch and completely, out of ideas to help how we grow our economy into the future. And that's really important when we talk about investment in our public services, when we talk about actually growing the economy so that we can really make a difference to people's lives.
Angela, you were the big winner from the reshuffle last week. You're now going to be the Deputy Prime Minister in the next Labour government if Labour win the election, as well as in charge of levelling up. But part of going to the TUC conference, as I know, is you have to sometimes deliver tough messages to the TUC, the trade union members. Can we just put to you a couple of things that Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves have said in recent weeks and ask you to explain to TUC members and our viewers why this is Labour's position? So Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have said there will be no renationalisation of water, energy, railways, Royal Mail. How do you explain to potential Labour voters why that's the right policy?
Because we're not going to spend billions of pounds there when we can regulate. We said once the rail contracts come up for renewal, we will take them back. So it's about being prudent with the public finances, about how you can really make that difference. Look, we know the system is broken at the moment. We've seen the sewerage going into our waterways under the Conservatives. There's things that the government could do, that should be doing, that they're failing to do. And our priority is making sure that these services run effectively and making sure the outcomes are right for the British public. It's not an ideologically driven motive. It's about really delivering for the public. And just to say, when you get ideology driving policy, Liz trusted that and crashed our economy. So we can't do that. We've got to prioritise where we think we can make the biggest difference.
In his leadership bid that's been junked, that we've addressed in this interview.
So Keir Starmer was asked a couple of weeks ago about the Conservative policy to restrict tax credits, universal credit payments for children only to 2 children in a family. We know that restriction has led to a big rise in child poverty already since it was introduced 4 or 5 years ago. Why will you not be changing, lifting that 2-child limit? How will you explain to trade union members today why Labour is sticking with the Conservative policy on the 2-child cap and universal credit?
Well, first of all, it's not about sticking to policy, it's about fiscal rules. We've said we will not commit to reversing or doing something without having the finances to back it up. We've also said, because we've looked at the evidence, and we said that we'll bring in free school breakfast. Now, I was a kid on free school meals. It wasn't universal when I was at school. I was one of the children that was, my parents were on income support, so that's why I got free school meals, because it was targeted and I needed it the most. But I spent the whole morning waiting to get to lunchtime because I'd not had anything to eat. So we know that breakfast clubs universally will help every child across the UK, and we've prioritised that. But we'll also set up a poverty strategy, and we'll look at in the round using Rachel Reeves' Office for Value for Money to earmark where we've got money, how we can direct that to bring children out of poverty again. The last Labour government did this, you'll know that, Ed.
I do.
We did that last time and we'll do it again this time.
And one more, because we're running out of time. You explained about taxes on working people. Keir Starmer has said no rise in the top rate of tax and no wealth tax of any kind. How will you explain no wealth tax of any kind to trade union members today?
Because we're trying to secure the economy. We want to see investment in the UK. We want to stabilise the economy after the Tories crashed it. We want to give business, we want to give people who want to invest in the UK the confidence that it's a good place to invest in again. The Tories have completely damaged our reputation.
So
and then when we do that, we can grow the economy. We could grow the economy and then we can bring that money into our investment in our public services. We've talked about ending the non-dom status loophole so we can get 10,000 more NHS workers in. So we are making changes and our priorities are different, but we won't make unfunded tax and spend commitments, and we'll make sure that we're doing it in a way that doesn't harm our economy but grows our economy into the future.
Can I just say, Angela Rayner, this doesn't sound like the Angela Rayner of old. Do you feel like you're singing from a different song sheet? I just wonder whether people, potential Labour voters, might be watching and thinking, what makes this different? Why does this? How is this? Would this be a Labour pitch?
Because we're going to secure the economy so that I can invest in public services and invest in all those things that gave me the help when I was growing up. It's not nice growing up in poverty. It's awful. It's not nice for most of the British people at the moment, worrying, even when they're in work, that they're not going to be able to afford their bills.
But I just
this is
wonder
a serious
why,
Angela Rayner wanting to make sure that we get into government so we can make that change.
But sticking to the 2-child policy...
That is the whole point.
but Angela, sticking to the 2-child limit means child poverty is going to rise.
Well, what we've said is quite categorically is that we'll have a child strategy on ending poverty, and we will do that. So it's not just one blank tool. It's a lot of things that are contributing to child poverty. You know, I talked about council housing and how that was secure for me when I was growing up. I had income support that meant I didn't have to visit a food bank. I had the free school meal when I needed it. Or there's more than one lever. People at the moment are in homelessness, temporary accommodation. Their living costs are so so high they can't get through the month. And these are people that are in work that are facing that. People who are below the work line are in even more dire poverty because of 13 years of a Conservative failure. If we don't get into government, I can't change any of that.
Right.
So this Angela Rayner is the one that says, I understand the challenges we face and we're going to fix it and we're going to do it sensibly in a way that we can bring people with us and show that the Labour Party has the answers to the questions.
Very good. Angela Rayner, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Angela.